All right, guys, today we're going to make a little quick video, two-step inequality word problems. We've already done videos and practiced our skills with solving inequalities and equations. So today we're not going to really focus on the solving part, mainly just setting up these word problems into inequalities, which could be just as difficult for some of you guys. So just follow these guidelines and it will be easy. These guidelines are read and reread the problem. This is pretty important, right? Because you want to make sure you understand what's going on. B, we want to make sure we identify what we know and what we don't know. If you do that, it helps you guys organize what's going on in each problem, and setting up will be that much easier. C, identifying the total, important. And D, which is why we reread the problem, we need to make sure we logically set up the equation, or in this case, inequality. Logically meaning you have to really know what's going on. So we have to reread the problem, understand what is going on, so that way when we set it up, it makes sense. Because if you just throw numbers together, it's not going to be correct all the time. But if you understand what's going on and put the numbers in the correct order that makes sense logically, you'll be good to go. So with that said, let's just jump right into it. We're just going to practice. And again, the solving part we're not really doing in this video because you already know how to do it. So Emily lost half of all of her hats during a move. A week later, bought 5 hats. There are now at most 13 hats left. With how many hats could she have started with? All right, let's reread this. But as we do that, let's fill out this know and don't know chart. Okay, things we know. So Emily, she lost half of all of her hats. So she lost half of all of her hats. A week later, she bought 5 more. There are now at most 13 hats. So she had 13 hats left. 13. And things we don't know is how many hats, which is the last question right here, with how many hats could she have started with? We have no clue. Okay, so there we go. So I know all this information. I don't know this. Okay, and usually, just so you guys know, your don't know is going to be your variable. Okay, in this case, we're talking about hats, so I'm just going to use H. Okay, so let's go through this. Let's build this up. First off, let's talk about what's going on. I already know this is going to be my total, 13. So I'm going to throw a 13 over here. Okay, that's going to be like my ending total here. And then on the other side, I'm going to put down what's happening. So Emily lost half of all of her hats. Well, I have no clue how many hats she started with. So I have H hats. But I know she lost half of them. And I can mathematically show this by dividing by 2. So I have no clue how many hats she started with, but I can divide it by 2, and that's her losing half of her hats. Next, she bought 5 more. Well, if you bought 5 more hats, you're just going to be adding 5 more to your total, right? And there we go. I just pretty much mathematically filled out everything. The only thing I'm missing now is my inequality sign, which comes with reading the key words here, because it says we have now at most 13 hats. So if you have at most 13 hats, that means you have 13 hats being the highest amount you have or lower. So I'm going to make sure I put an inequality sign that does not eat the amount of hats I have, because I want to make sure my number of hats is less than or equal to 13. So this total here, 13, that's the highest number I can have, so that's what I have the equal to. Or if I at most 13, I have 13 or less. So I want to make sure my inequality sign is not eating my amount, because I don't want more than 13. That's it. That's my answer. There's my setup. You guys can solve that on your own, that space below. Okay, let's just practice this some more. Let's zoom in a little bit. Okay. On this left side, I already kind of pre-filled some things out here, so I'm going to read it and then show you guys what I did. So, I'm going to say AJ. AJ had $25 to spend on 8 notebooks. So I know he had $25, and I know he's going to buy 8 notebooks. Okay? After buying them, she had, I guess it's AJ. We'll call it Agelina. There we go. I'm just going to Agelina. Now it's a girl name. There we go. She had at least $9. So I know she has at least $9 left. That's probably going to be my total. Okay? And what I don't know is, what the last sentence says, how much it's going to cost per notebook. So let's just do this right away. I like to put my totals on the right and what's happening on the left. So let's just see what's happening. Okay. And again, 9 is going to be my total, because that's how much it's telling me how much she's ending up with. So that's my total at the end. We're not talking about the initial amount. My initial amount is just $25. that we had. Now, we are going to spend money, so I'm going to subtract from my total. How much? Well, I know I want to buy 8 notebooks, but I don't know how much each notebook costs. So let's say we'll use a variable n here. Boom. And now I just represented all this information into inequality. I'll deal with my sign in 1 second, but I had $25. I bought 8 notebooks at an unknown price. Whatever that's going to be, I want to make sure it's at least, I have at least $9 left. Now, let's logically think about this. If you have at least $9, that means you have $9 or more. So I want my amount that's in my pocket to be $9 or more. So I'm going to put the equal to, because that could equal 9. Or I want it to be greater than, so that's why my inequality sign is eating the amount of money I have, because I want my amount to be equal to or more than $9. And that's it. We're done, guys. Don't overthink this. Let's jump into another one. Marcel rented a bike from Me's Bike. It costs, Ralph, why are you picking these weird names for me, huh? It costs $18 for the bike plus $5 per hour. If Marcel paid at most $43, then he could have rented the bike for how many hours? Well, here we go. I have my $18 fee. Then they also hit me with the $5 per hour. And it says that I paid at most $43. That sounds to me like my total. I'm ending with $43. And what I don't know is how many hours did he rent the bike? Let's throw it together. Again, we already talked about 43 seems like the nice ending total for me, right? Now let's work about what's having the problem. Well, I'm going to rent this bike, so they charged me $18 as a fee. It's a flat fee. But then they also charged me $5 per hour. So they're going to charge me extra $5 per hour. We'll use H for hours. My unknown always gets a variable. And there we go. $18 fee, $5 per hour. I don't know how much they're actually charging me. Or no, I'm sorry. They're charging me $5. But I know how many hours I'm going to be able to do it for. And whatever it is, I want to make sure that I paid at most $43. So let's figure this out with my inequality sign. If Marcel paid at most $43, that means he spent $43 or less. So if you're spending at most $43, that means that was your cap. That was your limit, right? So I want the money in my pocket to be less than or equal to 43. I'll say it again. The amount of money that I'm willing to spend, I want to make sure I'm spending either $43 or less, because apparently that might be how much money I have in my, available to spend on this bike that I want to rent. And that's it. $18 fee, $5 per hour, and there we go. And again, you guys can solve these on your own. We're just working the setting up today. Rewatch this video if you need to. Use these guidelines. They will help you, and just take your time. Understand the problems fully. Have a great day. Stay healthy, stay safe. Take care, guys.